Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good evening to fellows, panels, and audience. Today, I'm going to start off with introducing myself as a moderator. My name is Muhammad Afiq bin Hazmi. And we have ourselves three panels with us today. The first one is Prof. IR, Nuradlan Afiq bin Baharum. How are you today, Mr. Nuradlan Afiq?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, it's good to see you well and healthy for today. So our next panels, which are Mr. Muhammad Fakhrul Aiman bin Rosmaidi, representative of Ministry of Education. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor for me.
All right, sir. It's good to see you too. Okay, the last panel here is Mr. Muhammad Iqbal bin Fazdil, a research assistant of Science Social. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you. I'm doing good.
Okay, thank you for coming with us today and accepting my invitation. So today, we are going to have a forum and a talk about quality of education. So for starters, I'm going to break through what is quality of education generally. So from the point of SDG, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, they strive to achieve inclusive and quality education for all reaffirms. They believe that the education is one of the most powerful and important to prove sustainable development. The goals that they have are to ensure girls and boys complete free primary and secondary school by 2030. It also aims to provide equal access to affordable vocational training to eliminate gender and wealth disparities and achieve universal access to a quality higher education. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, we continue to rank well for having well-rounded university as today. We have around 11 in the technical education, management, and defense fields. 53 of them are private foreign universities offering world-class qualification and campus. Although the COVID-19 pandemics that have huge impact on our education system, but the government and the Ministry of Education took initiative to find alternative ways such as online classes that helps people to learn without having to see face-to-face with each other. Even though there are pros and cons, but we still have to move forward in our society. So we also must be curious on how this education flows through Malaysian education. So I'm going to ask Mr. Muhammad Fakhrul Aiman bin Rosmaidi about how is our flow of education in Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all the panels, and thank you for the moderator. As we know, in Malaysia, we have to use Bahasa Melayu as our primary language, and in 2013, English is becoming language in math and science until 2011, and so on. English is teach as a second language. However, in India and Chinese schools, Malay is teach as a second language and English as third language. So we have a few steps from we have primary school, secondary schools, pre-universities, and universities. So for secondary school, we have public schools and India and Chinese school. So they need to sit for UPSR when they in year 6, which is 12 years old, and they automatically will go to the secondary school, secondary school. I'm sorry, secondary school, which is they break into two, which is lower and upper secondary, which is lower, as we know, is from Form 1 to Form 3, and they need to sit like PT3 and PMR. And for upper, we have Form 4 and Form 5, which they need to sit for SPM, Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia, then to qualify them for the pre-university programs. And for pre-university programs, we have matriculation, diploma, foundations, and also STPM. The students can choose what they want to choose for their pre-university programs, and they can carry on to their university programs and degree bachelor, which they can choose whatever expertise that they want to explore. So and we know that academic year is begin from January to November, and for that's only qualify for secondary and primary school. For the universities, they talk of a semester than a year, which and some courses of a short semester, which from 7 to 8 weeks. I think that's all.
Okay, that's a very nice facts you have there. So what Mr. Fakhrul said, as I can summarize, is that from primary to tertiary school, Malaysia have adapt or plan strategically the education system well planned, and they have such examination like UPSR, PT3, and SPM that can identify or examine how well the student studies through the education. So how about the other panels? Are you agree with what Mr. Fakhrul said?
Yes, I think I agree with Mr. Fakhrul Aiman because for me, Malaysia is well known for its quality of education where, as we can see, University of Malaya, which is ranking, I think, around top 100 world university, it's shown how Malaysian quality of education of Malaysia is on par in the world. So that's it, how I see quality of education in Malaysia.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Iqbal. Did you have anything to add, Mr. Nuradlan?
I think I don't have anything to say. I do agree with this statement from Mr. Fakhrul. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, all other panels, and thank you, Mr. Fakhrul. As you can see nowadays, education is one thing that important, but there are a lot of factors that affect education. For example, we have behavior of students that affect quality of education. Mr. Muhammad Iqbal, do you have any opinion about how the students' behavior affect the quality of education?
Okay, thank you for Mr. Afiq. So in my view of student behavior in quality of education, the classroom should be a safe place that is conducive to learning for all students. However, academic achievement isn't always an absolute measure of the student intelligence. Instead, a variety of factors such as teacher involvement, parental investment, school quality, and student engagement can affect academic life. Student behavior also plays a major role in academic achievement as it can affect his or her ability to learn as well as impact the learning environment for the other student. There are many behavioral factors that can affect the learning environment for all classroom students. As you can see, I think I read it somewhere at some article on how can behavior affect academic student. It written by Van Thompson and Demand Media. Academic achievement. It is say that someone in the class and have destructive behavior. How destructive behavior can bring quality of education down is student who behave destructively by bullying other students, taking the lecture, talking during the lecture, or by requiring the teacher to interrupt lesson to discipline them can have a negative effect on the entire classroom. A 20,000 2010 study published in American Economic Journal Applied Economics found that disruptive students can lower the test score and academic achievement of an entire classroom. Teachers who have disruptive students in their classroom may have to spend additional time on behavioral management, reducing the time the teachers spend in teaching. Impulsive control. There are also a student who have impulsive control, like neurologists Samuel and Sandra Amott argue in their book, Welcome to Your Child Brain. The impulsive control is one of the most significant factors predicting academic success. Students with poor impulse control have more difficult motivating themselves to study, do homework, and listen in class. This can decrease their ability to excel academically even when they perform well on IQ and achievement tests. Wang and Edmond emphasize that rule setting and teaching frustration tolerance play critical roles in helping children develop impulse control. That's all for me.
Interesting facts there, Mr. Iqbal. And one point that I wanted to point it out about how Mr. Iqbal pointed his idea about behaviors of student back there is when the student behave wrong during an environment, it will affect all of the other students. It will affect all of the other classroom. So in this case, we should probably have a lot of ways to overcome these significant problems. So as you may say, the fact that behavior of students affect the quality of education is probably true. What do you think, other panels? Do you agree with me, Mr. Muhammad Fakhrul?
Yes, I agree. Because not just what Mr. Iqbal says, there is some other behavior that may affect the quality of the education of the students itself, such as laziness. So I think that's the main problems of affecting the quality of education that the student brought to itself. So I think I agree. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That was very true, actually. Laziness may affect people's life, even though it's not from education aspect, but other lifestyle as well. So what do you think, Mr. Nuradlan? Do you agree?
Yes, I'm also agree with the statement of Sir Iqbal. As for example, for student motivation, even the best teachers can force the student to learn if the student is completely unmotivated. The student's motivation can determine whether a student studies or does her homework, whether she seeks additional help when she does need it, and how carefully she listens or focus in the class. As a research that I found on the internet, the textbook Child Psychology cite research from development psychologist Albert Banudra indicating that children who are internally motivated are more likely to excel than the children who required external motivation in the form of punishment and rewards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you there, Mr. Nuradlan. You have a very interesting fact. So to conclude, what behavior of students that affect quality education is that we have a lot of factors such as the destructive behavior and laziness and probably lack of motivation. But behavior is not a negative word. The behavior also can become a positive word where you are a very very hardworking person. You have a high discipline routine, and you're good at studying. So that's actually contribute to behavior of that affect quality of education as well. So when we talk about behavior, we see negative effects, but how can we overcome it? So I would like to ask Mr. Nuradlan Afiq bin Baharum about ways to provide better education. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, moderator. So, how to improve the education system? Okay, the education industry today has faced many challenges, and in order to improve the education system, and the performance and the development of the education industry, the major improvement must be made in the sector. This discusses a major component that we need to work upon to create an effective improvement strategy. So I would like to focus on two. There are two ways. First of all is better standard. Okay, what is better standard? The policies and programs in the education structure should be developed to aim higher achievement standard and goals. Next is adoption of standard will be benefit for both student and their faculty mentors as they face many various challenges, and it will help the student to understand the assess that what they are aiming at and where are they heading. And the second point is about the parent involvement. Overall, research has consistently shown that the parental involvement in children education does make a positive difference to student achievement. Most children have two main educators in their life. First, their parents and their teachers. Parents are the prime educators until the child attend an earlier setting or start school, and they are remaining a major influence on their children's learning throughout school and beyond. And next is the school and parents both has crucial roles to play. Children achieve more when school and parents work together. Parents can help effectively if they know what the school is trying to achieve and how they can help. A successful system supports more parent involvement in selecting child education and learning process. The school plays an important role in determining the level of parent involvement in school. I think that's all from me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nuradlan Afiq, for that interesting statement over there, which including two ways to provide better education, which is the first one is standard, where the student supposed to have a high standard where they focus on reaching that standard point that the government have given. And the second point is the parent role, the parent and the teacher roles that can be a guideline for the student to be a better person and in the future. So with these two ways and steps to provide a better education, did any other panels have anything to add to this statement?
Have something. I think I'm agree with statements that Nuradlan Afiq just said. But I think in the end, it depends on the student itself to provide better educations, because nowadays when parents interfere with their student studies, they just ask what the results they get, but they not taking any actions. So the students might take it for granted, and it cannot provide better education for the students. I think in the end, the student motivations is the most important to provide better education for his or herself. Thank you.
So, from the point that given from our early discussion in this forum, we have found that there are probably one or two advantage of quality education for the future. So I would like to ask Mr. Nuradlan Afiq for probably a couple of two advantages on quality of education for our future.
Thank you, moderator. So I just want to have a quick review on the advantages of quality education for the future. First of all is more employment opportunities and higher income and prosperous life. So more employment opportunities. A good education system gives graduating men and women the tools that they need to succeed in life. With the right qualification, they can work towards applying for a position that demand applicants can demonstrate qualification for a certain standard. Without having a sufficient education, some doors will remain forever closed. And for the higher income and prosperous life. The better the job, the higher the income is likely to be. Money troubles are something that a great majority of us have had to endure at one point or another. So those who go out for work long hours, barely making ends meet, and are more likely to resort to other desperate options. So as a conclusion of both of benefits, the major benefit of quality education is more employment opportunities and also higher income and prosperous life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nuradlan, for that facts statement over there. With more job opportunities, with high level of education, we can have an easy life, not a very easy life, but an easy life, easygoing life, and also resulting on a better country's future. So as conclusion, we can say that quality of education is indeed important in order to maintain sustainability in our country or in the entire world. There are multiple factors that could affect the quality of education, whether it's individual, society, or the environment. Such steps are, for example, merging nowadays technology in the syllabus of education, so that we can adapt them on how to handle or improvise our current technology. Furthermore, we should make education more collaborative, where you could overcome a problem with together. For instance, like people used to say, two heads are better than one. So more collaboration give more fun and entertainment for the student and give them to learn better. With better education, we could bring a better future. I want to end this forum with a quote by Nelson Mandela, which is, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Thus, we should strive for more quality education to become stronger weapon in the future. I would like to thank Mr. Muhammad Fakhrul Aiman, Prof. IR Nuradlan Afiq, and Mr. Iqbal for today's forum. Thank you for coming, and we will see you next time.